America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. However, we have a couple of additions, if you'll note. One is under old business. We're going to have an update from Marvin Steen about what's going on in the construction proposal we had a couple of meetings ago. Under appointments, we're going to have two additional ones. One, Bob O'Malley for the second term for Racket Sports, and Doug Parks appointed as chairman of Bylaws and Resolution Committee. Additionally, after the adjournment, we're going to have a closed session to discuss the Sandpiper contract. It should also be noted that while we don't have a thick agenda today, we have to be out of here by noon because there is another group that is reserving the space. So, sorry about that. So let's not have a long discussion.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no.
You
are not going to suppress. Oh,
okay.
no.
Right. Oh, you want to deal with the sorry ladies?
The other group can wait.
That's right.
Yeah.
I move the agenda.
You don't know who they are, do you?
Oh,
I know.
Speaking of timing, I move the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the approval of the minutes. First one is the October 23rd, 2015 minutes of special meeting. Everybody had a chance to look at it. Does anybody have any questions about it?
I move that you accept, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next is the minutes of the October 29th meeting.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I think that the minutes are missing some very important documents under the old business section,
Old business section.
where the motion was made by my good friend, Mr. Terry. It starts with Mr. Collins read his comments attached. Mr. Stevens read comments he had sent to the board via email attached. They are not attached to this document, and they are also not reflected on the website. So I would like to know if you would like me to read into the minutes my statement that I put forth at the last meeting, or attach it in some form or fashion to this particular document, as well as the two statements attached to the electronic presentation on the website.
Would you accept the fact that we could just have them attached to the website? Both of your remarks.
Well, I brought an extra copy just in case. Yeah, as long as they are reflected on the website, which I think most people are going to get anyway. But what I'll do is I'll walk over and give Michelle another copy of my comments.
Okay.
Because they're important to me anyway.
Sure, I understand.
Okay.
Anybody have any problem with that at all? Any other board members?
No.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other corrections or changes to the October 29th board minutes?
Move to accept.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next, I think is my remarks. My remarks are brief. I just want to mention I have included in there the Executive Council meeting of November 12th. We met with the various groups. However, there were a few chairmen missing. However, we did have enough board members there to fill in for most of the committees. There was ARC, BNF, bylaws, and clubs were not represented, but the other ones were all represented by someone. And we exchanged information, which we all found was very beneficial to exchange information about what we were doing and what our wishes and desires were, and they all reported that they liked this style meeting. So you can read what the response was. Does anybody have any questions about that at all? Okay. Now the next thing up is the general manager's report, Bob Thompson.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
How long is this going to take, Bob?
I'm hoping about an hour and a half.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah. You had a lot of time for questions.
That's right.
That's right. That's it.
You got it. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. All right, just some quick highlights for the month or for the report. I want to go over with you. Different capital projects in process. We've talked the last couple of months about each of these. There's also updates are in your written report. So I didn't break them all down as I did last 2 months because they're all pretty much on track as to where they were. 10 days or a week one way or the other on any of the project dates. If there's any significant move, I'll update you all on it. But this is just to kind of keep a running tab of current projects in process. So the bridges, repairs and replacement, Anklin Meadows project with ports, St. Martin's Road project, and Sports Court project. So they're all the things that are underway in one stage or another. And again, the written reports are in your hands.
Bob,
Yes, sir.
on the St. Martin's Road project, which is a drainage project, has the RFP been posted yet?
RFP has been posted.
Okay, great. Okay, thank
I
you.
just don't have the date on it. The other project underway, as you all know, is the reserve study. So DMA is performing that. We did have the opportunity to do a conference call with them last week. Went over a sample of their components and expenditure summary for the bulkheads, roads, and bridges. They had put all the information into their system and then laid it out. We did a conference call where we actually did a presentation in the conference room, and we got to see what they were talking and walking us through. Looked real good. It looked like exactly what we're hoping to get from a reserve study, kind of components where they are today, and then what they'll be doing projections once they get all the rest of the information in their system. The bulkheads, roads, and bridges were their first step. The next couple weeks, they're putting all the other elements into their software system, and we're working on putting a draft report out, and that'll be out in December.
Where are they getting their information? I mean, what's the source?
Remember they came in and did a site visit back in October. I briefed everyone on that. They've gotten a chart of our assets. Most of their information for any of the clerical has come from our accounting team and from Art, from TGM and from Art Carmine, our controller.
Okay, so they're using our chart of assets.
Yeah, the 1,500 items for all our scheduled assets,
Yeah.
the site visits.
Basis for our depreciation contribution and their own visual inspection.
Yes.
And then they're matching what they've seen against. I just like to know.
Yeah, no, you're right on target. That's exactly right. So they're working on that now. So we've been pleased with how that's moving along. By the numbers, just wanted to cover a couple. These are also in your reports, but the top three we always talk about for the amenities golf. Golf revenues were slightly behind for the month. The first weekend, if you recall, we had really challenging weather, so they lost one weekend of play, but revenues continue to be off a little. At the same time, expenses were down as well. That has been a trait since LU's been in, is managing expenses down. Bottom line, month to date, they were off about $26,519. Yacht Club net revenues were up. And again, if you all recall, in your controller's report, you have revenues, and then you have two lines below it that say net revenues, because both in Yacht Club as well as golf, there are costs for the goods that are associated with it. So that's why I used the net revenues on those two figures. Expenses were slightly up. Those expenses were primarily related to supply issues, just the timing of supplies. Bottom line, they were 12,000 to the positive, so that's very good. Aquatics revenues were slightly down by $6,000. Expenses were up by $1,300. Net result was negative for the month, $7,348. The revenue being off for the month in aquatics was a matter of timing with some of the classes and things that will roll into the November numbers. Some checks for some of the classes and some of the other things that we were anticipating the last week of October actually rolled into the first week of November, so November should make that up. So all three are showing well. Yes, ma'am.
Bob, I have a question on the expenses being down at golf. The fact that they are saving money in the expenses, is any of that to the detriment of things that they should be performing? Don't have sufficient personnel, aren't doing maintenance the way they should? I mean, are any of those things that are detrimental to us reason for the expenses?
Sure. Good question. I expressed some concerns with that. And we've been talking about that through the summer months and up to this week's meeting. During the summer, I had some concerns because the actual labor costs were way down. They were a little tight with staff. This time of year, last couple months, that hasn't been the case. I have not seen a slide in chemical application or the care of the course, the maintenance side. They've been, looking at those numbers. Some of their expenses being below for the summer months for the maintenance side is an accounting differential from the way our previous vendor applied the accounting side for the expenses versus the way LU provides it. And basically, long and short of it, LU expenses the item for the maintenance side, let's say a chemical used on the course, when it's the month it's used. Our prior vendor actually used to expense it when we actually purchased it. So when we purchased in bulk at certain times of the year, that expense would hit us that month. The way that LU does it, they may buy it in bulk early, but they don't actually show that expense against the expense sheet for the month until it's actually expended or used. Neither way is a bad way to do it. Matter of fact, this way is a little easier way because you can actually look at the numbers tightly against what the month expenses were. So so part of that was where part of the variance of the expenses over the summer came as well. So I think we're okay on the maintenance side. I've been talking a lot with the superintendent, Rusty McClendon, and he's still where he needs to be to keep the course in good shape.
Bob, I don't know if or when this will affect us, but I noticed on WBOC News the other night that Maryland now has passed a law saying you can't fertilize your lawn. Does that affect us in any way? Is fertilizing greens?
At this point, it has not been made aware of any.
I don't know if it's for commercial, just for private.
Gotcha. Jack?
Anyway, thank you for that objective view. That was very well done. And let me just maybe educate Cheryl a little bit. When LU came in, they had staff. And that staff had been there for some time. And over that period of years, through normal increases, salary increases, and what have you, that payroll expense increased over that period of time. Two of those individuals left, one to do his own private enterprise on the fishing side, and the other took a position in Texas at a country club in order to improve his career. Therefore, it took them some time to replace those two individuals, which means they had less salary expense during that period, combined with the fact that they would hire somebody at a lower rate of expense than the two people that left. So that's why you're seeing some of these reductions in expenses there. They may not necessarily be associated with maintenance. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Would you agree with that, Bob?
No comment.
Okay.
Only because I don't want to break it down any further.
And it's just a point of information, that's all.
Fair enough. By the numbers, it's in your packet. This is we do a quarterly forecast, so you have those. They are in your packet. Things are looking pretty solid right now, based on performance of each of the entities. You've been watching them each month. I've been covering in the monthly sheets, but the only one that's trailing a little further off than we anticipate is the golf revenue side against budget. We're tracking it. I mean, if we have a strong spring, they can make up some of that. If they don't, it's going to fall this way. So They're the projections, looking pretty good right now. And if you notice, for projections against budget, several of the entities, golf, as an example, is still outperforming last year's numbers slightly, but they're still ahead of it, which is good. Yacht Club is way ahead of last year's numbers, so that's a good thing. So we're definitely, the metrics are moving in the right direction. Just some upcoming events I want to make sure I remind everyone of. Folks say they don't hear, sometimes they miss them because they don't know about them. So here you go. The Hometown Christmas tree lighting we've done the last 3 years. Real excited about it. When you drive out there, you'll see the trees are already up. It's the 28th. So Thanksgiving weekend, and then that's Saturday, 6:30. That's a lot of fun. We have hundreds of people come out and do it. It ends up being a really, really nice event for the community. And the trees are all decorated by different groups, and it's just a lot of fun to come out. So please put that on your calendar. Breakfast with Santa here. That's on December 5th from 8 to 11. So you guys want to come have breakfast and chat up Santa and ask for some, what you want for the holidays. And then if that didn't get you enough Santa time, you can go swim with Santa at Sports Court Pool on December 12th. That's also a big hit with the kids. Again, kids of all ages. So please mark your calendars. They're in your packets if you'd like to attend any of those. And that was it for me. Questions?
Well done, Bob. 10 minutes. Very well done.
That's 2 compliments today. Did you catch both of those?
We'll catch up.
Yeah. No doubt. Thank you.
Okay, moving right along. We have public comment. Public comment. Joe.
Joe Reynolds, 84. As usual. I've been talking about this for years. Months ago, I wrote to the board of directors and brought it up at the board meeting about it, the audited report, last audit report that indicated bulkhead work, $24 million project over a number of years, extensive surveys and so on. I subsequently, at a board meeting, general manager said that was a mistake. I then subsequently asked if the board would find out from our auditors why there was a mistake on the audited report. Mr. Herrick was the only one that responded to me. My last email several weeks ago, I asked him this morning. He responded to me and asked the board president or others on the board if someone would respond with an answer. Mr. Herrick tells me this morning that not only doesn't the board president or general manager or whoever he was requesting a response from does not respond to me, they don't respond to him either. So we still don't know why there's an error in our audit report. By the way, I called our auditor, and not unexpectedly, they did not call me back because they won't talk to me about it. But I think it's something that association members have a right to know why there's an error, if it is, the audit report. 2 meetings ago, Tom Janicek brought up a issue related to parking on the street, him getting violations and his neighbor parking and so on. When he brought up the issue, the general manager at that time said he would look into the issue that Janicek raised. The subsequent meeting, the last board meeting, I brought up the issue and asked if anyone knew anything about it. There was no reply, no one knew anything about it. So I'm asking him. There's an item, lights in the park, in the executive council meeting. I don't know what that's about. Are we talking about lighting White Horse Park, mercury vapor lamps, or what are we talking about? Do you know about that?
I don't think about it.
It's in your report.
Why?
It's in your. You should read your own
I don't
executive
report.
report. It's in there. But anyway, let's go on to the next one. aquatics report that the general manager gave this morning, well, I believe in the details, in the paperwork, it's mentioned, but not mentioned in the report or on the screen shown, as I recall, was the fact that aquatics has a $50,000 or whatever it is, $45,000 to $50,000 amount of money this year brought in for beach club parking. I'm not saying that that's inappropriate, but I believe when you are looking at, it's in the detail, not up here on the screen. Association members tend to maybe look at the video or to read what's put in the newspapers about it. It may not be mentioned. But I think it's important for this board to keep in mind that while the aquatics is doing a lot better, that number is $50,000 worse compared to last year. In other words, the comparison, what you saw up there for the, what we call the forecast for the end of the year, is $50,000 worse if you add that, remove that $50,000. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
Can I sit down?
Can you sit down?
Yeah.
Yeah, do whatever you want.
Yeah, good. My walk is on there great. I'd just like to thank the board. I came to you all back in May, and you agreed to help me when I did lots. And I took the letter. You all did for me. They wrote the letter. From that point, I went to the county and started working on the project. In July or August, I went to the planning commission and they approved everything. Okay, and you required certain things, and they did all those. And then in November, 3 weeks ago, I went to the public hearing, and we went through that, and they all approved that. So at this point, Steve Chalet will take about 2 more months, and say in February, I'll be able to move some dirt and go to work on it. At that point, I hope to have the first building done in May. What happened, King Richard's got a new road now, so I will not be going, no trucks or equipment through King Richard. It'll be going through 589 where the dirt road is. So I just want to thank you all a lot, because if I hadn't got your approval, it would not have happened, I can assure you. They listened to Ocean Pine in the land there. I've got one other thing. Trish, would you mind passing that out in the blue envelope? Yeah, all those. To each person, please. What I did, I had the contractor that's building the building on Route 90 in 28th Street. I had them go by, and this summer, and they just finished a report that what it would cost and what it would work to do new bathrooms in the beach club. It's a great building, and they checked everything. This shows what it would cost. It's just something for next year's budget. You may talk about it, look at it, but I think it would be a great idea. I mean, the swimming racket's great, the yacht club's great, got a new community center here, and that building is great, all besides the restroom. And Bob, if you got any questions or want to meet or anything, be glad to do it. Bill, go ahead.
Mr. Steen, so you're volunteering to do this?
No, the company.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's only $463,000.
Figured I'd take a shot.
Now, $463,000. I'll give you a copy. Yeah.
Marvin, who authorized you to do this?
Nobody authorized me.
Okay.
No, I did it myself. Or I had to come. Now, you probably heard about it because we had a lot of people go in the bathroom, look, doing this, doing that over the summer. The company would love to do it for you. I know you've been at projects. You first got to do the budget, but it's something that would really. It's a great building. It really is, and a lot of people go there. It's 40 years old, Jack.
I know.
It's not.
And let me just augment one more thing. As you folks know, I asked that Tom consider that particular project as a specific project in the 16-17 fiscal capital budget, the renovation of the bathrooms. If you look at the latest controller's report, the net revenues, that is free cash flow, the net revenues at the Beach Club for this year, which is virtually shut down for the year now, is approximately, give me somewhere in the neighborhood of $150,000. If this particular estimate holds up, that means that if that level of free cash flow is continued, this particular project pays for itself in approximately 4 years. 4 years. That's something we should really strongly consider doing. That's a layup, folks.
Jack, let me tell you something. About 6 or 7 years ago, it became a hot topic here. Okay, and at that point, it was a group authorized by Ocean Pines. Okay, and at that point, they were going to do a separate building, and I don't know whatever happened. It sort of fell apart. This is tearing everything out, everything totally, and going brand new. That's a good proposal. And I know you have to bid out, about get several other bids, but they're a good company.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can add to that. And Marty, of course, remembers it was right after the community center was built, and which was this community center, which was on time, under budget, success by any means, and a better building than we had before. But the next thing that group looked at was the bathrooms, and we did go, and it went. We put out an RFP. We had probably still have some number of responses, and the price tag, in my recollection, was somewhere over $300,000. And we decided at that time that building these external bathrooms and was just too expensive, and so we didn't do it. But the problem didn't go away, did it? We did. I should say that Bob also has done a considerable amount of maintenance since that point on that. But they're improved, but they're still what they are. So I thank Marvin for providing us this information.
I can tell you one thing. When they inspected, it's a great building over there. I can tell you that. Basically, in Ocean City here, if people laugh at you, if a storm comes, go to that building.
Yeah.
That's the perception, I can tell you that.
That's good. Yeah.
Thank you much.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. Right up. Okay, any more public comments? Okay, then we'll move on to the capital purchases reports, which request there are none. And the CPI violations, which we have Bob Thompson.
We have 2 violations this month to discuss. The first one being 6 Tiller Lane. You see the box trailer on the property. You can also note on the document the attempts to contact, responses, follow-up. So our recommendation is send it to the attorney. Our recommendation would be find it, continue the violation, and then send it to the attorney for action.
I move that we accept the recommendation.
Have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Bob,
Yeah, that discussion first.
No, yeah,
I'm sorry.
you do need a little.
You're right.
I'm just curious, getting into my 3rd year on this board. How long has this regulation been in place? Box trailers not being allowed in driveways, that kind of
Send the DRs.
Yeah.
Forever.
Oh, it's part of the DRs?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so in other words, if I go back to the DRs in my community, I'll see it in there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but it doesn't say anything about boats or trailer or RVs or anything of that nature?
There's clarification in there on those items. Watercraft is listed, boats, those type of can't remember the exact wording on it, but trailers are not allowed.
Okay.
Or
So
but
they're
not these
enforcing,
type of trailers.
they're enforcing the DRs. This is of each individual community. So is there a possibility that a community may not have that in their DRs?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. All right.
Okay, the second item, or the second violation, is a maintenance violation. You'll see on 42 Ocean Parkway. A letter was sent, inspection complete. No answers on the phone calls. Made several attempts to contact. Also note, I mean, you'd see the conditions. Also important to note that the matters affecting this as well is the balance on the assessment. So I want to make sure I pointed that out to you. So it's our recommendation to find this property continuing violation. Request that we send to the attorney for the next step.
Any discussion?
No, I'll make a motion to
No,
accept
hold
the
on, please.
recommendation.
You make the motion, but we still got to discuss.
Right.
Which particular one?
You're next.
Second.
Thank you.
My question on this one, Bob, is what is the action that we could take as far as cleaning this up? Or is that, I guess I'm trying to get to a point of moving some of this action ahead. I know we've got this process where we go through lawyer letters and all that kind of thing, but this gentleman has unclaimed at least 4 communications already. I just put in front of the board the idea of sending our team in there to clean this thing up. Because I don't think this guy's going to pay any attention to the lawyer letter at that point. Again, I'm fast tracking it, if you will, with a 5-2 vote to go in and do what we can do. I don't know that we can close the window that's sitting open on the house. But so just where would we be on that as being able to do something quicker about it?
Well, the board certainly has the right to fast track any item. Typically, the items that are fast tracked are considered safety violations, something that puts you in an unsafe condition. If you look at this is unsightly, but again, deeming it unsafe, I don't think would be appropriate. We have a course of action to follow with our procedures, and the next step would be to send to the attorney, and then if that does not resolve the issue, then it will come back to you for further action, which may include going on to clean up the property. The concern I have is we do follow the process with each of them, and unless it's a safety violation, if we decide to fast track this, then we need to make that a common practice for others in a similar condition if that's where we want to start to move.
If you can get the sense of where I'm going, that's where I've been on around this place for 6 years now. This process for cleaning up stuff like this, it just takes too long. This started in August. Plus, there is a water meter hole that is open. I will vote for. I just wanted to put it in front of the group. It's something we need to talk about, if not today. The process that we follow on these things, especially if they're just general cleanup. And somebody's ignored everything. It's going to be at least another month before anything's done now because of the process. I'm not blaming anybody, just laying it out there.
Well, Tom, I agree with you. When you brought this topic up before, I think that our counsel was in the room, and wasn't there a discussion about legal property rights accruing to the property owner, whether or not we can encroach upon those property rights, et cetera, et cetera? Remember that conversation? You remember that point? I think we were talking about trucks or cars at that particular
That
juncture.
was different. That was when you're towing somebody's vehicle. But you may be right, Jack. Again, I throw it out there for future discussion.
No, I think it's a good point, Tom. I think we gotta protect, the neighborhoods in the community. But I just don't want to see us get ourselves into a jack. How do we pursue it, Tom? How would you suggest we take this to the next level to resolve this issue? Come to a decision.
I think what we have to do as a board is have a discussion around process. and then get advice from council as what it is we can and can't do. You know, these kinds of things where something has been unclaimed, every piece of communication has been ignored by someone. To delay it another month just because we want to send a letter that's also going to be ignored. My suggestion, I'm not prepared to make an official suggestion for change of the process today, but just I took the opportunity of this one to raise my hand again and say, sometimes we need to move quicker on these things, especially if somebody's ignoring us, which is we are. So anyway, go.
I would, if I may.
Mr. Renaud? Oh, Mr. Sorry.
Ladies first.
There were two.
I just wanted to point out for people who are watching this and don't have paperwork in front of them, perhaps, that there has already been a lien issued against this property. And so when you're talking about going on the property now and cleaning it up, there's going to be expense involved with that we're not going to, there's no chance that we're going to recover that.
We're not going to get back.
So I think we just need to be mindful of that as well. But I'm totally in favor of perhaps streamlining this process, which requires us to deal with this at another time. But yeah, I think that's appropriate. But we do have to keep in mind that where we have a situation like this one where they're not responsive, there's a lien already, we're not going to get our money back. So, but we, you know, as an association, we'll have to make decisions like that.
Dave?
If we're going to ask council to make some kind of a decision, I would like to kind of insist that we keep a record of all the decisions the council has made for us on this particular type of matter, and put it in a file so that board members can review it before asking council again decision on this kind of matter. And I think we've had these decisions. I believe we can't go on. Safety issue, I think the whole is probably sufficient to be able, we want to. 3 months isn't an awful long time, but I think, you know, the circumstances are such in this case that property is close to it should do. I mean, I do it right now. And
Make the motion. Why don't you make the motion?
Okay, I will. I know we already have a motion on the
already have a motion on the
Don't
floor.
confuse me, Tom. I'm easily.
Or do you want to make a motion to fast track?
There's already a motion.
There is. I don't want to use the term fast track because I don't want. I mean,
I agree with that.
I could guess what it is, but I don't.
Point of order, we either remove the original motion, which cannot be done at this point because it's moved and seconded, and we would to vote down the original motion to allow a second motion on the same topic. So we either vote for the motion to move on, or we vote it down, and at that point, a second motion.
Can't withdraw the motion, Tom?
No, once it's in front of the committee here, can't do it. Once it's seconded, it's in essence belongs to not no person.
Well, I think
I'm going for the question.
Call the question, you vote it up or down, and move on.
I think
Mr. Terry, before you do, I might recommend find out if another board member is going to make a motion to fast track it, or if that was just a general comment. Because if not, then you're going to vote down the motion, and I have no action item before I vote.
Are you going to make a motion?
Well, one of the problems is, of course, specifying what fast tracking is. And looking at, we have several different kinds of violations. Bobby, you've looked at these in CPIs. If we fast track it, what would you do?
Fast track would give me the ability to get it resolved without coming back to the board, basically. So, you know, I would speak to Chris Woodley or Joe Moore and just confirm, based on this information, that we can remove the debris on the property and clean it up. And if they said yes, you know, we're not in violation of entering into property and taking personal property from them. If they, you know, if we can say this is junk and remove it, and if they agree to that, then I'd have Public Works go out and do it. I mean, that would be my fast track steps in this.
And then, as a part of the motion, I would say that if the answer was negative, that would proceed normal attorney action.
That certainly could be your motion, yes, sir. And then I would move in that
That
direction.
would cover
Both sides, yes, sir. So before you withdraw or vote to withdraw, I want to make sure I get action on it, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
It's good.
I'll make.
Call the question on the original so we can.
Okay,
take care
call
of
the
it.
question on the original. Those in favor?
So Bill,
Yeah, we have to vote on the original.
Got to vote.
And we got to
Vote
do
on the
a
original,
motion.
then you can call the other one.
So call the question on the first motion.
I called the question. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed?
No.
No. Thank you.
David.
Dave, your floor is yours.
Don't mess up.
I move that we authorize the general manager to proceed with cleanup of property, subject to the go-ahead or approval of the attorneys. And if such approval is not granted, that we proceed with the letter of attorney.
I'll second
We
that.
also find that this an continuing violation one way or another.
Dave, you want to amend that?
Let's
Just
make sure
add-
Michelle got it.
add that we should have a written opinion by the attorney. Don't need that?
Well, I think this goes back to my earliest comment.
Right.
Is let's get these opinions from the attorney in a single file so that everybody, whether we never knew what we got, go look at it. So, I'm assuming you have.
We do.
Yeah.
Well, let's make sure we.
Motion has been stated and
Motion,
seconded.
yeah, right.
Second, and
Okay,
now
that's
we're
where we are.
So we're in discussion.
Discussion. Yeah.
Yes, we have those. I made note of that.
Okay.
So I'm going to pull that file together. So just for future. But the motion as it stands, they're in continuing violation. Pursue immediate action on it, which includes coordinating with the attorney. If we can remove the items, find it as debris or trash, we'll go ahead and go on and remove it. If they deem it not to be, then we'll go ahead and send the attorney letter.
That would be also remedying any safety issues that you find at the time,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Call for the question. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That's it for the CPI violations. Thank you.
The old business, Mark already jumped up and gave us his information. Oh, I put you under old. Old business, we have discussion for landscapes, limited 3 appointed representatives.
Yeah, I'm bringing this up again because we have spoken about it in the past a couple of times, and I don't think the issue has been resolved. Part of the management agreement with landscapes, the board is allowed to have up to 3 designated board representatives to sit in on monthly meetings with landscapes and the GM, in addition to quarterly meetings with senior representatives from landscapes. The question is, we had 3 representatives when the new board came in. 3 new representatives were picked to, to represent the board without what I saw any board approval. And they were picked by the president by himself. So the question is, does the president have credential appointment power with respect to the management agreement with Landscapes Unlimited to do so on his own? And I think we should have a discussion about that because the bringing in the new golf group, contentious issue with the last board, and the board put this in the management agreement to have more openness and fairness and better reporting from those meetings to the board.
Go ahead, Bill.
The answer to that, I believe, is yes. The president appointed the 3 people last year. This president chose to appoint 3 other people. Now, I believe my integrity was questioned in the paper because I was one of the ones appointed this year. What I believe this president did was actually put somebody on the board, me, as a member of the golfing community that's over there 2, 3 days, 4 days a week, that knows what's going on over there. Up until this point, last year's group still hasn't asked me one question about what was going on over there, has never asked me an opinion one or had me involved at all. So I had to take the unusual step of getting up in public comments at a meeting and state my opinion because I was never asked. This year, I believe this president put people on there that have previous business experience. And I think that was a good way to go about it because these guys, they have some problems. And, you know, they sent this business plan out that one of our members says was the best he's ever seen and all that. Well, I read that thing 5 times, and it's typical, like a government thing, 40 pages, it doesn't really say a whole lot. We had a lot of issues that needed to be discussed with them. We didn't need a group of cheerleaders saying, you guys are doing great. They have issues that needed to be discussed. Now, I'm the one that was singled out as, you know, I voted against them and all that kind of stuff. Well, so what? Sitting at our lunch with the president of Landscapes, sitting at the luncheon with the other board members, I sat right next to the gentleman. He said, thank you for this opportunity. I said, wait a minute. You haven't signed a contract yet. I'm against you being here. The other guys were making vast improvements. Every year they were dropping, and we were in a very good state with them. I don't want you here, and I'll vote against you until you're here. But after you're here and we signed that contract, you're my management company. I'm all for you. I offered to go to Nebraska and sit down and speak with them. Okay? Nobody probably knows that. That was between me and the president. That president, Mr. Everett, has called me on the phone several times and spoken to me. I'm the only one over there. The other people on that committee, I don't believe know a whole lot about what's going on over there, of course. Okay? So, you know, to say that who this president put on there was ludicrous because we voted against it, so what? Now, I thought that we had a very, very informative and a very good discussion with these folks. They have some problems, but we're going to help them work through it. We're about them. They're our management company now, and we're going to help them succeed. If they can't do it, then that's on them, but we're going to help them do that. Like I said, we didn't need the cheerleaders. We needed people that were there that were going to stay up and say, look, this is a problem, this is a problem, this is a problem, and they need to be addressed. There were some serious problems that we had to discuss. And like I said, we don't need the cheerleaders. You guys are doing great. Oh, everything's fine and all that. We had some good business discussions. We went through this page, probably the first 25 pages of it, and we were there for 3 hours going over issue after issue after issue. And these are issues that can be overcome should they, you know, have the wherewithal of overcoming them. But we're going to work together. This thing that, I voted against it, Gorwell voted against them because, crap. They're my management company now. I'm there. I want that course to succeed. And if they're the management company that makes them succeed, good for us, good for everybody, good for the community. So, you know, there's just so much hypocrisy going on with this whole thing. And yes, this whole golf thing has been contentious, and it didn't need to be. If everybody was involved, there was never a time when this president issued, can I help you, Mr. Collins? Because you're part of this thing here. Not one time did you bother to ask me what I thought about this whole process. You didn't want me there. You handpicked Mr. Olszewski to be part of this team. Well, what happened with that? Okay, you put him on there after you did the initial presentations where you wrote they don't do so much about membership. Mr. Olszewski took the previous or the initial presentations and said, "There's nobody here that's even close to Casper, so we want Casper." You picked him because he had said a few things against Casper, and they had some problems that could be worked through. But you picked him. Once he said, we should keep Casper, he was never part of the process again. So this whole thing was just
Bill, I think we're off topic a little bit here. What we're trying to do is get to pick representatives of the board to represent.
Okay, but this was all part of the last discussion. This all came out during the meeting.
Board representatives or president's representatives? And I think that's the issue. And
why
were the 3 people that were on there let go with no explanation whatsoever why they were no longer on that committee?
That's up to the president.
Well, I think that's what needs to be addressed. Is it a board representative or president's representatives on that committee? That's all I'm asking. Bring it up, bring it into light.
I don't think that is what you asked, Tom. What you asked was, what authority does this president have to appoint those people? Bill started his answer with, he has the authority based on exactly what the last president did, which was to pick those people. If you have a problem with the people that he picked, that's a separate issue. But you started your discussion with, what authority does he have? Do you have something to point to us that says he does not have the authority?
Point of order, Cheryl. That was brought to the board and there was a vote on that selection. Is that correct?
What was?
That's correct.
That is correct.
Which selection?
The point, the board had an opportunity. It was brought to the board at that time. And the point was made, and it was done without objection, which is, by the way, the point in time when the board gets to say, yes, I do have an objection. Not a single person on the board at that time with those people. And I even talked personally to people like Tom Terry about it. Tom Terry reminded me that I had it. I brought it to the board's attention, including yours. And in fact, there was no objection. Just as we're going to appoint several people at the end of this meeting, and assuming that we're going to do it without objection. I mean, that discussion was held, and the two. So basically, that's the key thing. It's not he has the right to appoint, but with the approval of the board. And whether or not the previous one was done that way or not is immaterial. That's what the bylaws say. It says that. I'll find it, please.
I'd rather you find me the meeting where that was done, where you brought that to the board and nobody, because you did not bring anything to the board for our discussion. And if you had, that's fine. That's the people that you appointed, and that's fine. There'd have been no objection from me. I'd have said something during discussion of, I'm the only one that's over there that kind of knows what's going on over there. But you know, that's your prerogative as the president. You appointed those people, and that's it. But there was never brought to the board and voted. Absolutely not. Are you remembering that these things are on tape? You just said that.
No, I didn't, Bill. Listen harder. I said it was the appointments were brought to the board.
That's what I'm
and
saying.
I asked if, without objection, the board approves of it. That's not a vote. It's not held in a meeting, and it can be done with regularity. You had the opportunity to discuss it and object publicly. And you know what? It doesn't matter. If I did it wrong, I did it wrong. But that doesn't mean you do it wrong twice. Doesn't mean you violate the bylaws twice. I am objecting to these appointments, and I do feel that we need to approve it. If by a formal vote, so be it. And that's the whole point of have I got what your point is, Tom?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Bill, before you attack me, I was going to compliment you on your position in being proactive in allowing this particular manager to be successful. And I think that's what we're all about. And I appreciate that. And because a lot of time, effort, work, and thought went into this whole decision-making process. It was not, and I'm not going to justify some other comments that were made there, but there are a couple things that I want to get clear in my head. All this being said, you are our liaison, the board's liaison, to Landscapes Unlimited and any meetings that they have. Is that correct?
No.
They're not.
The general manager is a liaison to Landscapes Unlimited.
So in other words, you have no function or role vis-a-vis Landscapes Unlimited and the board of directors.
That's correct.
You have none.
No.
So in other words, okay, well then let me ask Bob then. Since you're not Bob, I'll ask Bob. This Ocean Pines Golf and Country Club business plan and membership development plan, when did you receive this, Bob? Yeah, ballpark. It's got a date on it of 9/23 2015.
I've got to tell you, I don't have it with me, not for any other reason. I didn't
Well,
know this was going to
okay.
be.
Would it be around the 23rd of September that you received?
You're asking me something I'm not going to be able to. I feel.
Okay. No,
You know,
I'm not.
I would say- I
I'm
would
really
say
not attacking
here's,
you.
Here's what my answer would be: sometime in that general time frame.
Okay.
There's a date on that, but it would have been late September, early October.
May I point out that, if I just can,
Okay.
that in the landscapes on the business plan, and the preface to it, does give that date as the date that they supplied a draft business plan.
Okay.
It's in there.
Well, I'm just curious.
That's why we got it.
I got this on November the 2nd, which is about 40 days later, and I'm wondering why the board, why wouldn't we get it earlier? Why wouldn't we be involved in the information gathering process as it relates to this golf and the manager?
Well, and again, the reason I seem somewhat, I can't answer you directly. There were multiple documents that were provided that were provided to me for budgetary, start a budget process. Prior to that, there was a membership development, and forgive me, I don't have it in front of me, membership development program or plan that they had crafted for consideration as well. So there's 2 or 3 documents that have occurred in the last, let's say, 35, 40 days that I've received. So I just don't want to give you a wrong answer when I say that.
No, I appreciate it.
But there was a membership development program or plan was the first thing I received. There's a business plan that was the second document I received, but it was also inclusive of the membership development plan was also rolled up into the business planning, which is a required document for the budgetary project. There's some dates built into the contract where they're required to deliver those, and they met those.
Now, hold on. Now, that's fine. So I have all the documents that were delivered to you by Landscapes Unlimited. I have them all. They were in my mailbox. Is that correct? Am I missing anything?
I can't confirm what you've received or not received.
Well, you put it in the mailbox, didn't you?
I put the
that's what I have. The original stuff that you put in my mailbox is what I have. So do I have everything from Landscapes Unlimited, or are there other documents out there that...
If you have the draft business plan, then you have what was provided, which in the back of that also includes the membership plan, the last handful of pages.
Yeah. So
that would be what was provided.
Okay. And this is the final document. This is what's going to happen?
No, sir.
Well, then we don't have
You're asking me. I'm trying to answer you.
I am too. You have to understand the dilemma that I have. I thought I had a board liaison. I don't have one. I have to deal directly with you.
Well, you don't have to.
I do.
I can be helpful.
No, I do. I have to deal directly with you because I don't have a liaison to this group or this committee in order to develop information as it unfolds between this organization and Landscapes Unlimited. So I'm not attacking you, Bob. Don't get me wrong. I'm trying to develop the information that I need to know as to what's going on as far as this contract is concerned and as far as the relationship between Landscapes Unlimited and this organization. You're in. I mean,
and I'm trying to answer you without having, again, I wasn't prepared to.
Oh, I know that.
So with that being said, there is the original draft document of the business plan, which they met the requirement to provide. I think October 15th was the drop date. No, November 1st. November 1st was the drop date on it. Thank you, Bill. In the contract, they provide that. That was a draft document for review and comment concerning those type of things. Subsequent meeting, we did that. They went back and are making changes to that.
Oh, okay.
And then I just received, and I want to tell you, Jack, it was either yesterday or the day before, an email of the draft copy, which I've printed. But as you know, it's a 35 page document that's still in draft form. Have to review to see what changes were incorporated. I just haven't had time to sit down.
Well, would the board have the opportunity of looking at the original draft and comparing it to the revised draft?
Well, you have
This is the original
That's
draft?
the original, yes,
And
sir.
then you guys have gone back and revised it, in a joint meeting with LU.
That-
They've agreed to certain, changes, ramifications in the plan, et cetera, and that's what you're dealing with now.
Correct.
Okay.
And then once that's completed, the board will then receive the final version of that one with the changes.
Good.
So
All right.
that's the next step from my position of what's going to occur.
Okay, and then as the board receives it, it can go into the public domain as to what's going on as far as.
Yes, sir. Once it's completed, while it's in draft format, it's not public domain because it's still a working
It's still a
document.
working
As
document,
soon as
okay.
we finalize it, it will certainly be a public document. You'll receive it first, you being the body of the board, and then we'll make it a public document. Yes.
Okay, I'm willing to work under those guidelines. I don't think they're the best guidelines, by the way. But I'm willing to work under those guidelines because I don't have a liaison to this particular management company. You're it.
Well, please understand.
Board liaison, not you. I mean, I gotta work with it. I gotta do what I gotta do.
Okay, just for clarity, I'm not making any comment on policy.
No, I know that.
No. You're putting me in a unique spot.
And I don't mean to do that.
I'm
but
answering
I don't
your
have any
questions
choice.
of what I have, what I can provide.
I don't mean.
No, that's fine.
I have
I
no
just-
choice. I have no choice. You're my only resource because I don't have board liaison.
We don't have what the contract says we should have. I've had it in front of me. Don't look like that, Bill.
What's it say?
But it says the plans shall include, this is GE plans reporting, second paragraph, shall include goals and milestones which will serve as the basis for monthly reporting to the OPA general manager and up to 3 designated OPA board representatives, our representatives. So in fact, those representatives are in place to report back to us as board representatives do.
Okay.
They are in fact liaisons. And part of their responsibility is to report back on any significant events or occurrences that happen. And moreover, to answer any questions about what's said by LU or not. What it is not their responsibility to do is to negotiate or discuss with LU what their business plan should contain or not. Let me ask you this. We have this, right? I'm pointing to the wrong thing. You just get into it. It's bylaws, really. but what it really should be is the LU business. The LU business plan, I have that too. When do we get to ask a question about this? LU, when do we get to find out, to discuss with LU what it is that their intent is, what they mean by some of the words that they put in here? And by the way, make no mistake, this isn't just execution or operations. This is policy that's in here. When do we get to find out what's behind what they're writing down in this document? Do you know?
Yeah, that's what we did at this meeting. The 3 board representatives.
No. When does the entire board get to hear it? When does the entire board get to hear it? 3 representatives who are, first of all, not properly established. Oh yeah, they're not. You want that one? This is the bylaws. Chairpersons and members shall be members of the association eligible to vote, shall be appointed or reappointed by the president with the consent of the board of directors. That consent was never issued. And you can say whether I did it or it doesn't make any difference. It wasn't ever issued. There was no vote, there was no motion, there was nothing.
Are you referring to committee chairs? I believe that's what you're reading, not what, this is something different. This is not an advisory committee.
I've had some opinions on that, and my opinions say that, in fact, this is exactly the equivalent, and it's certainly the equivalent of the advisory. As a matter of fact, it's more important than advisory. And as a matter of fact, it even explicitly says in here designated OPA board representatives. We don't, by saying it's a board representative, it's no different than what we did on Sandpiper. It's no different than what we did in the initial committee for searching for a new go. I mean, there was no responsibility. I mean, not responsibility. There was no authority that was granted to these to make decisions for the board. None at all. And that wouldn't have been true in the people that were originally appointed. They were liaisons who were to take part in the discussions and report back to the board as to what was going on, period. And you know what? The reason this was written into the contract, and Tom knows it very well, was because of what did transpire with Casper, where the board as a whole never had any idea of what Casper was doing. We didn't want that to happen again with LU. We've had a change in board, and now we're going to get it again with the same people who did it before.
All right, let me answer the question that was asked. Numerous questions here on the table. When it comes to the budgetary process, this business plan is no different than any other business plan, which is put into the overall budget, which is delivered to the board around the first week of January from the general manager. So that is when the final non-draft version of the business plan is due to be given to the board of directors. We had an oversight meeting, whether you call it liaison or oversight. We had an oversight meeting with Landscapes Unlimited where we went through the document. We didn't go through all 40 pages of it, but we went through certain pages of it and provided what I believe to be some cogent guidance on some of the things that they were talking about, which I will not, because it is a draft document, to help them in putting together their business plan to meet some of the objectives that they said they were going to be doing coming to the community. Now, I believe that was a positive meeting. I think if you talk to their CEO, he will tell you that. And we did not in any way say this was a vote of the board. This was a directive of the board. It was our opinion of helping them work on their draft document in the sense of what their objectives might be, because quite frankly, some of the objectives that were in that draft document didn't live up to what was the understanding of what we thought we were going to get.
Whose understanding?
The board's understanding.
Not the board's understanding.
Okay, you want me to put it out there, pal?
Excuse me,
I'll put it out there.
Gentlemen,
I've had enough.
Well, yeah.
When you get a draft document that has an objective for the number of new members that we're going to get, which comes nowhere near what was projected to be what we thought the focus was going to be, the advice was provided that you might want to relook at those numbers. That's what I'm talking about, is advice and help. That's what I'm talking about. The implication that we somehow voted on anything, we didn't. And the answer to your question is what I just answered. The final document comes to, look, don't interrupt me. I didn't interrupt you. I didn't interrupt you.
No.
The draft documents have been provided to you. You asked when the final document would be given. It will be given along with the overall budget, just like other business plans that are delivered to us at that. And let's not mix issues here. The issue was whether or not the three people that are now on the committee were lawfully put in place or not. That's one issue. The other question was, when do you get to see the final document? The final business plan from LU is submitted to the general manager, who provides the overall budget proposal to the board, and the board at that point can challenge any assumptions, any data that's in any of the business plans as we go through the budget.
May I
We
point
have every
out,
right to do that.
may I point out, Tom, that you misstated what the second issue was. And the second issue is written into here too. Basically it says, that the board of directors, I can't find a particular sentence, read it several times. Board of directors is entitled to all documents,
Absolutely.
that are provided by LU.
That's correct.
And I think that's, the implication of that sentence is that they're entitled to receive them in a timely manner, and timely means when we receive them, to receive them in a timely manner, to be able to read them, and to be able to ask direct questions regarding what we've read. Nothing else makes any sense unless you believe that it makes sense to exclude part of the board from participating in this decision making.
I haven't seen any exclusion of anybody.
Well, in fact, you have.
No, you
At
haven't.
this point, it or not.
You have the board, you have the draft report. If you have any questions, submit them.
We've had to.
Submit them.
Where to whom? Directly to LU?
They work for us.
Well, wait a minute. Wait, let me clarify something. Are you saying,
this meeting?
that we can, as a board member, we can have dialogue with members of LU? Is that what you're saying? It's okay to do that? Is that what you're saying? In other words, I can pick up the phone, I can talk to Tom Everett, I can talk to whoever I want to at LU, because I've been told I can't do that. That's what I've been told.
Can we attend the meetings and listen to what's going
Well,
on?
then what is the point of having representatives?
Well, I don't have a representative, Tom. Our liaison just indicated that he is not a liaison. He has no function. He just sits there, I guess, and I asked him if he would report back to us, and he's indicated that that's not his job. So I got to deal, and am willing to do so. I have to deal with the general manager in order to get the necessary information to make decisions going on down the road. I appreciate what you're saying, that if they have not provided us with a proactive management plan to develop membership, we need to know that. All of us need to know that. You have it in your draft.
We had it 40 days after it was delivered to the rest of the board.
Incorrect. Incorrect. I've been trying to straighten you out.
That'd be good.
Look in the back of that document, and there's 3 issues there that they gave us by October 15th, which they were supposed to do contractually by October 15th. If you look all the way in the back, the last two or three pages, there's 3 things there that they wanted said would build membership.
But Phil.
Wait a minute. Find that first.
It says 923.
Find that first.
Is that right?
Yes, we got that by October.
Gentlemen, we're off the point of order. Point of order. Let's go back to what the original question was. If you want me to admit that I should have brought it to the board and I've changed the 3 representatives, I'll admit it. I won't deny it. But as Dave said, he didn't bring it to the board for a vote either.
No, I didn't say
No, he
that.
didn't. Yes,
I didn't
you
bring-
did. You just said it before.
said-
Come on, don't mince words, Dave.
No, well, don't change my words.
All right. You find it in the minutes and find that we voted on it.
I didn't say.
There was a motion on
I
it. There
didn't
wasn't.
say we voted. I said
Okay, all
I
right.
brought it to the board's attention.
All right.
And
We did the
and-
job. We went and talked to the people. We don't have any final vote, as Bill says and as Tom says. We went there and talked to them. We had points of order. You could have brought anything into it that you wanted to.
How could we when we're not there?
Why do you want to have the whole
How
board there
could
when we
we-
have 3 representatives appointed?
Because that was the objective, to open up the process.
Because
The only information that we received from the prior manager was during the budgetary process.
Incorrect.
That's not incorrect.
Incorrect.
That's not incorrect.
We got it every
Okay,
one.
so let's
One
not-
just didn't want to get it.
Hey, we can go into history, and Bill's version of it is not.
Pardon me?
Your version.
We got
of history
monthly
is
reports
not
from Billy
general-
Casper Golf to the general manager like they were supposed to.
Point of
Point
order.
of order, guys. What screaming at each other is not solving any problem.
Okay, so
What do you want to do? Tom, you raised the issue. What do you want to do?
I say if you
No,
want.
Tom Herrick raised the issue. Let him
Okay.
please.
Let Tom
address
talk about it. He raised the issue. What is it?
I want the board to discuss if any particular board member, in this case the president, has any more authority over what the board's decisions are, or the board must approve it as a whole. That's the issue, right? That's what I want the board to decide. Does any one particular board member have the right to do something unilaterally on their their own without board approval.
That's not what you asked. What you asked was, does the president have the authority to appoint the 3 people? President has answered, yes, he has.
Okay,
End of discussion.
Well, I don't see that anywhere.
What is
the
that in the
president
discussion,
has that-
Cheryl?
Has that authority. I don't see anywhere in the bylaws that the president has authority over any of the board. That's my issue. Where do you see him getting the authority to do
The
something on his
bylaws do
own?
not address this committee with LU. The bylaws don't address that.
So where are you coming up with him having the authority? That's what I want to know. Where
Because
do you
there
see
is
that?
no authority that says he doesn't have it, and so he has taken
So
that
you just deemed him
position.
to have.
He has. He's taken that position. Now, if you want to make a motion to vote on those 3 people because you want to change it, that's something else. But he has taken the position that he has the authority to do that.
Cheryl, if I may, I've got the bylaws right in front of me.
You've already
It's
quoted the
a-
bylaws, and I am in
it's
disagreement with
Article-
your
it's
interpretation
Article
of it.
10. Article 10 is committees and advisory bodies. Chairpersons and members shall be members of the association, be appointed and reappointed by the president with the consent of the board of directors. That's not just about advisory committees, it's committees and advisory bodies. I mean, do we have to go to?
This is not a committee. It's a 3 board representative to the LU based on the contract language.
That's even worse. I mean, I think if they're board representatives, then the board has the right and certainly the absolute right to know what they're doing.
Based on what? Based on what?
Based on our bylaws.
Or even common courtesy.
Well, common courtesy.
Could I make a recommendation? You don't mind?
Sure.
Be good.
Why not?
Why don't you, and again, just for consideration, Pat, you're the president, make a motion to appoint your 3 people, vote it up or down, and we can keep moving. Now, I'm not trying to negate a good discussion, but to Mr. Herrick's, do you have a right to? The question is, do you or don't you? Put it before the body now and take the vote.
All right.
That'll clarify it.
I'll make a motion that Patrick Renault, myself, Tom Terry, and Bill Cordwell represent the Ocean Pines Association at discussions with Landscape United on a quarterly basis.
Unlimited.
Landscapes.
Unlimited.
Landscapes Unlimited, I'm sorry.
In accordance with the contract.
In accordance with the contract, right, sorry.
No, I think you just killed it. I don't think it's in it.
You need a second to discuss it.
Second.
By Mark. Seconded for discussion. Now you can talk about that motion.
Now, now that we have legal motion and vote, we have 3 members who the president has appointed. I will say, I object to the selection. I think it's basically we've taken 3 people, and 2 of whom the president, who seems to have changed his mind, have been dead set against the hiring of this particular. I think that.
I never changed my mind.
So you're happy with that, good. And so I think that there is no reason why the people who were originally selected could not have wanted to job. And I would argue with Mr. Cordwell that he has more experience around the golf course than I do, because I've been a member since 1978. I think the people who were selected, I think can do most damage to prospect of the country. So that's basically what I think. I think they're the wrong people. And I also think that there are people who will not convey to the rest of the board a sense of what LU is doing and what LU is going on. I think we just retreated back to where we were. That's right.
Yeah, and one other little back and fill as far as history is concerned. When we developed this committee, and I was asked to serve, which I said fine. We picked 2 members from the golf community. I don't know if they want to be named or not, but these are people that were also very much involved with the golf course over there, and they were quite willing to function in that capacity. And the object of the exercise was to open up the process so that there could be a continual flow of information between this particular group, this small committee, and the golfers themselves and the community as a whole, so that we could bring this golf course to the level of excellence that it should be. That was the whole objective. They were summarily dismissed without cause, and that's fine. I mean, that's okay. But they were summarily dismissed, and other people were appointed, and there is no the appointees are not in the same genre, in the same background as far as the previous group is concerned. They were all golfers. We were all golfers, all of us, and that was our interest. I know Bill's a golfer. He's a better golfer than I am, quite honestly. The others, all I'm saying is the object of the exercise was to open up the process, and I sense that we've closed it. That's where I'm coming from.
Okay, now that we're all giving opinions about the motion, let me just say that as a non-golfer, I think that it is appropriate to have people appointed who are non-golfers, because not all of this community cares as much about the golf course as some of you who are avid golfers. Mr. Cordwell, I think you need to get a life if you're over there that often. So I think it is appropriate not only to have someone who is an avid golfer as someone who is not, because we do represent the entire community, and this is just one of the many amenities available to the membership here. That's just my opinion.
I totally agree. And Mr. Renaud is not a golfer, so we have that covered. My background, and I said this to LU, that golf to me is just something that I do. I mean, it's not that big a deal. Well, my concern is them being successful, which makes the community successful. My first responsibility is to the community, and if that's helping them to be successful, that's my, I'm not looking at it as a golf member. I didn't bring anything there as a golf member other than these are the problems, because the membership right now is not happy. And my main thing to them was, they want to talk about bringing in all these new members. I said, well, guess what? You ought to concentrate on the members that you have now. Start with them and then move out from there, at the same time. So that was my main thrust of it. But Mr. Renaud is not a golfer, so, we're covered there. But
I represent the other 8,300. That's what I do. Other than the 114. All right. Is there any other discussion?
I personally don't understand that we need to have a change from the qualified, competent people that were already representing us, that were put there for a reason. This committee is to help the golf management company succeed and do the best they can. People that are familiar with golf can understand what needs to be done to accomplish those goals. People who do not know anything about golf, I don't see how much input they can do to help the golf company succeed.
Disagree. That's all right. Yes. Tom, do you have anything to say? Ed? I'm going to call for the question. All those in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. All right. Four in favor. All those against? Aye. Okay. 4-3. Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes?
I would like to make a motion that it's carries out of the discussions from our previous motion. I move that at the earliest possible means, the general manager, or that you call a special meeting of the entire board, inviting LU to attend, such that we discuss you can ask questions specifically about what we've received, so that we better inform ourselves as to what exactly is happening.
Well, I should tell you, Mr. Stevens, we identified about 20 areas, the three of us, that we questioned, considering one of them is an increase of 10 members, which is always way too low. But that was only one. There was quite a few other things that we did interview. And I would like to have the opportunity, which I must say I'm remiss, I have to get together the notes because they appointed me to take all the notes. But anyway, to get out that summary report to everybody, to all the board, about what went on in that meeting. At that point in time, then if you wish to have another full meeting with LU, we can discuss it. I would suggest that's the way to go.
Well, Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
I second the motion.
Now we have discussion, and I use our discussion can count as part of
Right.
this
Doesn't count
discussion.
as well.
I would say that's not at all the same thing. In fact, I don't know what questions were asked, and I don't know what I believe what you're telling me, but I don't know what questions were asked. I have no way of knowing, and I don't know what the answers were. And I don't know that they're the same questions that I wish to ask, and I have a number of them. I didn't want to say not in love, but all the aspects of this report. And I think that we should have enough to meet with LU after having read the report and simply ask them the questions and not see a subsequent, which has been changed because of your questions. So that's my purpose in bringing this motion.
Take every.
Yeah, go ahead.
Fine. As far as I'm concerned, every board member has a right to request a meeting to discuss and go over draft documents if they want to do that. I have no objection to that, but in fact, I think you are correct in that the summary of that meeting needs to get to the rest of the board as soon as possible, ASAP. And once that is in place, because I think that needs to be in place, so what on a subsequent meeting to discuss the marketing business plan with them makes sense. Now that's not day-to-day management of the facility, but so obviously I'm going to vote in favor of the motion.
That would have to be a closed session because this is a contractual matter associated with
Absolutely not.
No.
Disagree.
May I ask?
It's not a contractual
Just
issue.
to Tom Terry's point earlier, the business plan will be submitted with the budget to support their budget numbers, and then the board we spend days going over this. That's when we typically we would have our third-party vendor, in this case LU, there, and the board can ask and change and modify. I mean, that's the purpose of budget meetings with that document. So, so you would have an audience with the LU folks during the budget process to discuss their business plan in support of their budget that they've submitted, that we've rolled into our entire budget.
Yeah, Bob, if I can, I know
Yes, sir.
you're getting at, and I thought of that too. First of all, the purpose of us having an open board meeting is not to attract an audience, but it is, in fact, required by the Maryland Homeowners Act. And this is not a contractual issue. We're not in negotiation contract agreement. So, and we can go to the attorney and get one follow-up and ask again. But putting that aside, okay, the purpose of why not do it wait till the budget comes? And I think there's a really good reason for doing this first. I believe that there are issues that are vetted in this plan, which are kind of issues of policy. I mean, I don't want to, talk about them right here in detail, but I could. There are issues that we need to understand, and there's issues of understanding. I think we would benefit greatly by having LU come in with their first budget after having discussed what their business plan is. The business plan first, understanding what it is, and then getting the numbers that support it. And so I really believe the meeting is when you should do it relatively soon. So.
Well, there's a motion on the table.
Any more discussion? Now call for the question. All those in favor of having another meeting, open meeting, is that correct? Open meeting.
Open meeting.
Yes. Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Yeah, you all need, please, could you please call it one more time so Michelle can count?
Okay,
Yeah,
we'll
sure.
go.
All the
Aye,
ayes?
aye, aye,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Got another aye there. 5
And then Cheryl and Bill are against.
Thank you.
Just trying to keep it moving.
Just for clarification, all discussions about budget in any meetings like that, just as we do in January, the Budget and Finance Committee meetings our discussions on the budget are open to attend. So they are by nature open meetings.
I didn't understand that that's what this meeting was going to be. The purpose of it was going to be that budget. I have a different impression of what Mr. Stevens was asking for, and it was how this draft business plan relates to how they're performing against the contract and those elements. And when you mix it like that, it was my opinion legally that it had to be closed.
Moving on. Next up, we're going to have the comprehensive plan update. Pat Renault and Steve Cohen. Steve, why don't you come up and say something about what's going on with the comprehensive plan?
You guys are all talking about individual projects. The comprehensive plan is to decide priorities, what's best for the whole Ocean Pines, not what's best for individuals. So just a little history to catch up. We hired Dr. Derica from Salisbury University. Some of you are familiar with it. We've had several meetings in the last year and a half, board signed the contract. Where we are now, Dr. Derica and the students made some phone calls. Now this is a process. It's not a decision. It's not we're going to decide. We're going to put all the data together. So you as a board understand where we are, where we should be, what the people want in the neighborhood. We've had telephone calls. We've had 2 focus groups. One focus group is what I call the movers and shakers, the people who make decisions. That was done in the library about 2 weeks ago. The second one was the average person, the owners, that discussions were made. It was an open discussion. I wasn't there because committee members were not allowed. Open discussion. Something came up during those discussions that they decided to have a third focus group. And he wants to get an understanding what that means. I think the question was, some of the people brought up that we'd like to be where we were 40 years ago, but realistic, we can't be. He needs an understanding of that. Once that third focus happened, which is probably going to be another week or so, we board will then meet with Dr. Derica, and you're all invited. We don't have a date yet. Invited to hear the discussion. He will discuss the focus groups like he did last time. At that time, he will present to us, the committee, a list of questions, survey questions, that we will recommend, that we will discuss, make some changes. We will then bring the survey questions to the board to approve. Once that's done, we're going to send it out in March. And the discussion is how we're going to send it out. Dr. Derica and most of us feel the best way to do is mail it to individuals, 800 and 8,500 and whatever. It's more expensive, but feels that you're going to get a better response to it. We're looking for about 15 to 20%. Once those responses come back, Dr. Derica will put all that data together on his program, and present it to us and the board. The second step of this, which needs board's approval, is to create what we call modules. 3 or 4 modules with the board. Basically saying that, okay, if we spend $1,000 here, how's that going to affect the rest of Ocean Pines? So it sets out a priority of affecting the entire Ocean Pines. And for your understanding, this is a live document. It's made to have the board review it every year because priorities change. Things change. Do we need different things? Populations change. Population in Ocean Pines is getting older. We need certain things for senior citizens. And we present that to the board as a living document. Dr. Derrica can come back every year for minimal fee to make recommendations and changes. And we hope this is going to be in coordination with the CIP and the reserve study. So it's all done together and we have a plan. So when we talk about reserve, we look at, okay, this is what we need. Well, is that a priority? Anybody questions?
Thank you, Steve. Okay. Any questions? All right, we'll move on to the next one. We're moving right along pretty well. It's only 10:35. And that is the motion for the budget guidance for the 2016-17. Don? Yes?
Can we have a 5-minute break?
Sure, I was going to say that after.
You're supposed to do that. I was
But
waiting.
I thought you were just going to rip through the budget guidance.
Well, I think it's gonna be a while.
All right, let's have a break, 5 minutes.